Hey guys, did you, like, this whole time that I was like streaming, like I was not live? Was I live or was I not live? I thought I was, but like I reloaded the page and I had to press go live and stuff. I was live, right? Like you were here, we were talking. Like no one said anything, shit. Like, is anyone here? Like, do you like did this whole thing not work all this time? Hey man, I have a question. Like, did I go live like just now? Because I was actually streaming, like I started on 12. It just like YouTube made it like a little bit weird. And there was like a button to like press go. Oh shit, are you serious? Like I've been talking to myself for an hour. Damn. Wow. Oh my God. It's like, it was weird. Like you were asking questions and I was like answering, but somebody else was also like answering questions. Like, holy shit. Like really, I was just talking like for 1.5 hours to myself. God damn. So whenever I stream, I also record my streams. I'm going to upload the recording somewhere, and so you're going to see like the first. Yeah, man, Jesus, like for real. Because like this is what happened, right? Like, when you start streaming on YouTube, when it receives the stream, it just starts streaming it right away. However, this was a scheduled stream, and when I started streaming, it told me like, hey, you still need to like press the go live button, right? And I went to like here, right over here, but it didn't, like the button was not there. And so I thought, oh, okay, maybe because I'm here, because it said like, okay, you know, that it's not public and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like streaming and like talking, and you guys were talking about Cersei, and I was like giving advice and whatever. And like, nobody said like, hey, like, where's Vlad? You know, like none of you said, was like, hey, where is he? Like, why is he not starting? You know, like, and so I was just like coding whatever. Jesus. Wow. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Wow. Okay. The goal for today's stream is to program something very, very small. And let me switch to this scene. And there is nothing during the stream for me to learn. It's a very small program that I just needed to write, and I figured why not write it in front of the camera. So the goal for this stream is so that beginners can ask many questions, because the previous stream that we did, 50 subs. What do you mean? So the previous project that we built on stream was the rewrite of the shopping cart application from Gabriel Volpe, the book Practical Functional Programming in Scala. And YouTube pushes live streams a lot, and so many people joined who have never programmed before, or they've never done like even like Scala or any kind of programming. And so I was like, hey, I should do like a stream where we do something like very trivial. Okay. And recently I had a program that I needed to write for myself, and I was like, why not do it? Okay, so let me explain the program, which I almost finished writing. Jesus. This is hilarious. Okay, so I always used to have a spreadsheet which would track my expenses. Trivial spreadsheet, like one column was like my expenses and one formula to add them all, okay? However, I've been a digital nomad for around 3 years, and I have things that I pay monthly in different currencies. And now I stopped being a digital nomad. I'm in Brazil. So I pay things in euros, USD, and Brazilian real, which in Portuguese is called Brazilian reais, okay? And so I wanted to have a spreadsheet where I would, put some things in dollars, some things in euros, something in Brazilian real, and it would do like all the calculations, and it would also like convert like each individual value also to the different currency, not just the sum. Okay. And I was like, okay, well, I can still do this with a spreadsheet, right? So I sat down, I figured it out, but I didn't like the result, right? So the result didn't allow me to just like add rows, like if I have a new expense, I could not just add it without changing the formula. And I was like, this is like so easy to do in a real programming language. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna just write it in Scala. And then I was like, why do it in Scala? Why just like hack it together? I could just do it on Stream and hack it together. And so the goal for this stream is not to actually write this program. Like the goal is for you to ask questions. So I imagine that many of you don't do Scala, or don't do, are like new to programming. So ask questions. It's not about writing this program, because it's not about like, for me, like learning things. It's about for it's all of it is for you. Okay. Unfortunately, I've already written like most of it. Okay. So, jeez, man, this is ridiculous. This is what I did. So I went into my folder and I called it. In fact, like in the beginning, I was like, guys, like come up with a name, come up with a name, and everybody was quiet. And I was like, whatever, you lurkers, So I called it MoneyCalc. Okay, and it's a Git repository. It doesn't even have it has a single commit, which is like the template that I used. Okay, so the goal for usually Scala is used on the backend, and we like very strong types. We like to put like every file in a separate, every class and stuff and whatever, every like thing into its own file. We would like structure the build in a very complicated way. This is just a hacky version of a script, right? So we're just scripting stuff. Thank you. Now I see that people are actually here. Okay, so so this is how I called it, MoneyCalc. Okay. And it's a script, okay? So we don't care about type safety. We don't care about validation because I am in control over the entire input, which is going to be just a CSV file. And we were actually we reached the point where we're like parsing the CSV file ourselves, okay? So we started like at the top, and I wrote like the specification, okay? So we're talking about like 3 hard-coded currencies, because this is like one of the things that as a beginner you should learn, is that like this is something that I did like a lot wrong when I was a beginner. I would like over-engineer things. I would have feature creep, I would like add things, but I didn't know how to structure big applications. And so it just became a big ball of mud. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. And then you lose motivation, and then the project just dies, okay? So the goal for here is to have like V1 and V2, and in V1, like to throw out like all the things that is just like nice to have. This is the thing that I need like right now, okay? So I want 3 currencies, which is Brazilian real, euro, and USD. They're alphabetically ordered. We're going to have 6 hard-coded conversion rates. In V2, we might like fetch them and maybe cache them, whatever. The input is going to be very, very similar. It's going to be something like a CSV. The first row are going to be headers, but we're not going to use the headers because it's just going to be useful for me to create the CSV. But in terms of parsing, I don't need to know which row is what. The first row is going to be the description that we're going to throw out. The first column is going to be the description that we're not going to throw out. The second, third, and fourth column are going to be currencies in each different value, in each different currency. So it's going to be amounts in different currencies, and we're going to have the restriction that we cannot have like an expense that is like partial, right? We cannot have like, okay, it's $10 and like 2 euros. No, it's like if it's an expense, it's going to be one currency. So if the input is wrong, the value is just going to be ignored. The output is going to be super trivial. We're going to have the same thing as the input, right? So, but converted, right? So if we put like $10, right? For example, let's say I'm paying $10 for Spotify. I don't care about how much it exactly costs. This is just an example. So we're going to convert it also into dollars, which is still going to stay $10. We're also going to convert it to euros, which is going to be something like 8 euros. I know that right now the conversion rate is exactly the same. And we're also going to convert it into Brazilian real. Hi, can you please explain what's the appropriate time to use Scala util chain? I actually have answered your question like 40 minutes ago. Jesus, like as you can see, this is why it's here. I just added it to show it to you. I'm actually not using it right now. Like it's like everything compiles without it. Jesus, I'll tell you in just a second. And then we're going to also sum all the currencies. So the idea is that like, I can show to my girlfriend who is Brazilian and she's used to think in Brazilian real, is that like, hey, if I'm paying like $10 for Spotify, she's gonna ask me, like, well, how much is it in real? So we don't care about just the sum being converted to real. We want like each individual value also to be converted to real. And in version 2, we might also calculate the sum like as we move along. And we might as well like sort stuff, sort by probably sort by amount, descending. The currency doesn't matter when we sort, so use the first currency. Okay, and then I started like hacking it together, but I'll explain it just a little bit later. Okay, so Scala util chaining. So before you were asking about like specifically about like pipe and tap. Pipe, like I love pipe. Like I use pipe very often. Like especially in Scala 3, it's probably inlined properly, right? So it has like no. I think in Scala 3 it doesn't have any performance cost or anything associated with it. Tap, I very rarely use tap. Because tap is like for mutable code. Whenever I use tap, the only reason I would use it is to do print lines. In fact, I did like an example before. I removed it right now. So like this is when I use tap, right? So if you have like a list 1, 2, 3, 4, and you do like a filter like this, then over here like I would do tap print line, and I would do man, it did exactly the same thing before, and it did exactly the same shit before. So this is what I would do, okay? So now let's bring it back in. Scala util chaining, okay? Yeah, and by the way, I was also explaining that, you know, we're using Scala 3, and if you have questions about Scala 3, ask them. Like, ask about everything. Like, even if you ask me, like, what is an if expression, it's totally fine. Today, everything goes, it's totally completely for beginners. The only rule is there is no stupid questions, okay? So this is where I would use tap, you know, when I would just want to see, like, intermediate values. In fact, what I said like an hour ago is that I actually wrote a library. I have never advertised it because I've written it for myself, but it's on GitHub. It has a wiki, and one day we're going to rewrite it to Scala 3 here on stream. And I showed you how to use I have a temp folder over here, temp delete me. So I created a project for Scala 2 just to show this library. Okay, so hold on. No, it's not. And you can also define it yourself in pretty much any language. I'll show it to you in a second. Tap is pretty much the same thing as match. Like you can think about, I'm sorry, not tap, pipe. Pipe is like a match. And tap is like a pipe where the value is thrown out. I'll show it to you in just a second. It's very trivial. In fact, I wanted to release a video this weekend, but it turned out to be, it's going to be a 1.5 hour long video, and therefore it's going to be released next weekend. And it's the version of the video that I just released, which was like cats versus tagless final or whatever, cats versus like Zio and whatever. It's for beginners, but essentially it turned out into be a functional programming crash course. I explained functional programming from scratch until, Zio and tagless final, and it's going to be like 1.5 hours. And in there, I actually defined tap and pipe, okay? So in the build, I added my library, right? So it's com GitHub Agile Steel. I never advertise it. This is why it has like 10 stars or whatever. I also don't want you guys to use it. Like, I really don't care if you use it or not. I didn't create it for you guys. I created it for myself. Okay, it's called Spals. And it started with me being upset. Well, I discovered the ANSI codes, the one that can do colors. And I just like started hacking together, and I started like creating a library around it. And I wanted to see like how Git works, how GitHub works, how like CI works. It was like, I started it like 10 years ago. And it's still like relatively well maintained. I haven't touched it in like 2 years, but it's still published for Scala 2.13 and just not published for Scala 3. All right, so one of the things is that it does is that I really wanted to find a way to create libraries in such a way that you don't need to import them. And so I designed it in such a way that you would have like imagine if you have like a company with like microservices and whatever, and they all written in Scala, you would have a library that you would call like something like common or something, and its package would be like, in this case, dev inside you. And you would have a package in there that you would just mix this all-you-can-eat trait, right? So this is the good old cake pattern, to date frowned upon for composing your applications like this, but I do still believe that it's actually really good for building libraries. In Scala 3, it's not necessary anymore because Scala 3 has top-level definitions and exports. And when we're going to rewrite this into Scala 3, we're not going to use the cake pattern any longer. But essentially, like, you mix this whole thing, and it brings in a bunch of implicits. And so whenever you're in the main method, okay, let me comment this out. Okay, so if we have like print line hello world, okay, so we're just gonna run it like this. Okay, so you have like, notice there are no imports. This one is not necessary. Okay, so there are no imports, right? And you can just go and you can just call methods that all of a sudden exist, right? Like green, for example. Right, like this is, again, like I was just playing around with like ANSI codes, and I even did like something like hello world, Scala, let's just space over here, people. Okay, something like this, okay? And you would also be able to say like spells on the style, I believe I called it, and then you would do some like red, okay? And then maybe it's not ANSI style, it's ANSI something. No, it should be ANSI style. There was spells dot. I don't think it's like this. I haven't touched it in many years. But I thought it was like this. Hold on. Like I literally have this code over here, and before it compiled somehow. I don't remember how to use my own library. Like, what the hell? Okay. So it's just, yeah. So like, I remember like, this is also how I did it. Like I really didn't want imports, right? So hold on, let's, okay. So essentially like it figures out, like it doesn't lose the colors, blah, I don't know, sign, right? So like this people gets red, right? Because like the whole thing is red, but like it doesn't, like I invested like a lot of time to do like a lot of parsing of these. And so in the end, like when I was done with this thing, I created like this thing, which is just a fancy tab, right? Like this thing over here, right? So I call it X-ray, right? And it would like do like basically a fancy print line, okay? So it would say it's an X-ray, the date, how long it took, the location in the code, there's no macros, hash code, the thread, the class, the type. It would have like codecs for parsing, for printing out collections and a couple of other things. So this is a list of event with 4 elements. Here are your indexes, and these are the values. And after the filter, it's like this, right? Because you can have a description, right? After the filter, it's like this, so it's not filtered. Description is optional. If you don't specify the color, it's going to be green. And yeah, so I was just like, I invested a lot of time in making sure that like these colors can be like composed together. Like as you can see, like if I put like yellow over here, right? So like all of these colors will like not override each other, and everything is going to be like clean. There's a lot of code to do that. And there are no dependencies except for like the typesafe library. Which plugin other than Metals are you using to get the highlighting like that? Not a Scala specific plugin. It's a plugin called Arrow Lens. This one. This is some fork. This one, Arrow Lens. Okay. And it works for any language. It has nothing to do with metal. So basically, like if you're working with some language, basically like whenever VS Code displays some sort of error or warning, it will be displayed like this. And it also displays info by default. So if you use something like Quill by default prints out the queries as info. So you would actually see like your queries like printed out here. Okay. So about the question about like the implementation, like if this is a Scala 3 specific thing, it's a super tiny function. Okay, so so the only like prerequisite is that your language has extension methods or monkey patching or something like this. So in Scala 3 syntax, this is going to be an extension on some value a, and you're going to be able, on that A, you're going to be able to call pipe, okay, which is going to get the function that goes from A to B, and it's going to produce a B, right, just by doing this. Okay, there's no call. It's so inconsistent, like this syntax. Extension on some A, okay, like this. Okay, so this is a pipe, right? So essentially you're just going to call the function for you. So what pipe allows you to do is, instead of like doing like f of g of a, right, you can do g of a and then pipe into f, right? Or you could even go more crazy. You can take the a, you can pipe into g, and then you can pipe into f, right? All it does, okay? And tap is exactly the same thing, right? It looks like this. Okay, it's just that like after it calls this function, it actually throws out the result, which is the B, right? And it actually returns you the A, right? So this is how like the B over here is unit, right? So print line, like the result of print line is a unit, so unit becomes the B, but the unit is getting thrown out over here. And instead, like the A is going to be returned, and the A is like that list. So you keep working on that list as if you didn't call tap. And this X-ray that I just showed you works exactly the same way. Okay. So you can do this like in any language that has like extension methods. And funny fact about pipe, right? So if you have, like we have currencies over here, for example, right? So if you have a pattern match on a current, oh, we don't even need to be that complicated, right? So if you have like one match, okay, and now you go like case one, then print line, it's all good. Case something else, print line, not good, okay? So if you do this, unreachable case. Okay, so let's convert this into a function. Do match. Okay, input is an integer, result is a unit, and like this is input. Okay. So let's say that you have this. Okay, if you think about it, match and pipe is exactly the same thing, right? So you can go like this. It just said, you would need like the curly braces, right? It's exactly the same thing. Right? I think you would even get, I think I saw in Scala 3 because this would be the difference, right? I think I saw, like it should warn me that, where's the warning? What happened here? I added a no warn at some point somewhere. Over here, maybe this messes it up. Hold on. Where's my exhaustivity checking? Scala, hello? Maybe it's because of the return type or something? Like, it just like converts to unit? Okay, so let's try. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, like pipe has the same exhaustiveness check. Okay, let's actually run it real quick. Let's do like print line, damn it. Line do match of 1. Okay. Like this. So it's all good. Where's the underscore coming from? Where's the... Oh yeah, so it's already doing the print line. Not the curly brace. So it's all good. And 1337, not good. And was the match, it works exactly the same way. Right, it's all good, not good. Okay, so match and pipe, pretty much the same thing. Okay, let's get back to the program that we're working on. And again, like, remember guys, like the goal to write this program, the goal is for you to ask. So what just happened was not a detour, it was the tour. All right, so what I was saying is that, like, what we have over here is, like, I created currencies because I care about these 3 currencies. I don't care about the fact that the JVM has currencies. Hold on. Yes, I can. Give me a sec. Hold up. I thought it's actually... How about no? Also, let's switch it to something like lo-fi. There you go. Is it better? All right. So tap, I use it when I want to generate side effects. Pipe when I want to do something like, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. EA Scala 3 enums, such an improvement. Yeah. Okay, so we have just these 3 currencies. The JVM, the Java has this in currencies in the standard library, but we don't care about them. A couple of types over here just for readability. Like, again, we don't care about type safety. We don't need opaque types over here because opaque types don't help you if you write everything in the same file, the same compilation unit. You can still like stick them inside of objects and whatever, but we don't care. This is just for readability. Okay. So we know how to convert from one currency into another currency. So you give it like from, to, and amount. And we just do amount times rate of from to. Rate is just a function that has all the currencies hard-coded. And we have this no warn because I guess it's a Scala 3 bug. It cannot figure out. I don't remember if the guards in Scala 2 were powerful enough to figure out like the whole exhaustivity thing or not. Because essentially, like, when we're converting the same currency into itself, it's going to be 1, and otherwise, like, these are the okay. So these are two Brazilian real. These are 2 euros, and these are 2 USD. Okay, and you can pattern match with this thingy. You can also create tuples with this thingy, and there you go. And also, I use ligatures. So as you can see, like, I have a plugin that disables the ligature when I'm on that line. So as you can see, okay. Yeah, and so because of this, I had to do this thing because otherwise I was like, hey, it's gonna fail on USD and stuff, and I'm like, no, it's not. Well, no, it's not. It's not, because if it's like USD and USD, then they're equal. Maybe it's because what if it's the last thing? It shouldn't be a difference. Yeah. It's a weird thing. No, that's what I want to do. Okay, so now we can convert things, okay? And then we're like, okay, so what about the inputs? So the raw input is going to be a bunch of strings, right? So we're going to parse the CSV ourselves. And then we're going to have a function that will take the raw input and convert it into the regular input. And the regular input is going to be, well, as specified above, it's just going to be the description and then the amounts, okay? Alphabetically sorted, okay? The raw output is also going to be a bunch of strings, right? Because it's going to be just a print line of some table. And we're going to have the header row. Like, this is, again, like all of this is output. In fact, like in the beginning, I tried to do something like this, but then I decided not to do this. Maybe I should do this again. So I want to have like an object input, right? And then like all of this stuff like here, like this, okay? And so like this, like this one we would call like parsed, and This one would be like parsed row. This one would be just raw. And this is a parsed row. It's kind of unfortunate in English that you have like raw and row. Okay, so all of this now is in the input object. All of this stuff is output. Okay, so we have like the raw, which is just a bunch of strings, and we have the header row, which is going to be this, and then we're going to have the output row, which now is going to be just, can it just be row? Because it's not, it can't be like parsed row because it's the output. Okay, and so the last row is also going to be the sum, right? So the last row and the output row is going to be the same thing. We could like create a special object which would like have the description coded, but it's not worth it. Okay, and so we were about to do this, which is now, you know, input dot raw, and it would convert it into input dot parse, right? And so I was saying that, like I said, have the conversation about the CSVs. So first of all, we don't care about the header. The purpose of the header is for me to be able to easier create the CSV. Like this is why, so I can see like, okay, I put the real here, put the description here, blah, blah, blah. But when I'm parsing it, I don't care about it. So we're gonna, also we don't care about the validation. If I mess up the file and it's like empty, then it's just gonna throw an exception and die. We don't care. So we're just gonna go through it like row by row. So we have a raw row. We can, yeah, well, raw input row. Okay, so we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna go like that. Okay, and here I started a conversation about CSVs, and then my girlfriend was going out, and I was like, I'm gonna be right back. And then when I came back, I checked out the YouTube's dashboard, like that thing, and like this thing was, instead of saying like concurrent viewers, it was saying like viewers waiting, and I was like, oh my god, really? And then I refreshed the page, and then the button go live appeared over here, right? And I was like, holy shit, like all of this time I was like talking to myself. Anyway, so what I was explaining here is that usually when you parse CSV, you need CSVs or any kind of files, you need to worry about many things. I don't, like in this case, we don't care about any of them because I have full control of them. If I mess it up, I can fix the input, and then I will, and then everything will work. I will not need to change the code. In production, it's not like this, right? You need to worry about the encoding. You know, hopefully it's going to be UTF-8. You would be surprised how often it's not UTF-8 in production. I used to work for a company. Our clients were forced to use Windows, like long story, okay? And because they were in Windows, like anytime they would export something from Excel and whatever, it would be like this Western Windows encoding because we were in Germany, but Germany had like these umlauts and it worked for umlauts, but then we started to do localization and stuff, and we started having Polish and whatever, and then it wouldn't fit, and nightmare. Okay, so even though right now I'm on Windows, I'm using LibreOffice, I believe, and over there I believe I can control what the hell I'm outputting anyway. So the next thing you need to worry about is how the columns are separated. The specification says that you should use commas, but you can also switch to something like semicolons or tabs or whatever. The specification also says that the value should be in quotes. However, in reality, most of the times they're not in quotes. Also, like the quotes within the quotes should be escaped, I believe, with a backspace, like normal people. But in practice, usually they're not escaped. We don't need to worry about any of that stuff. We don't need even to worry about the locale, right? So if you have some like $12.34, I don't need to worry if they're split with a comma or with a dot, right? Because it's all my stuff. I have full control of the input, and this is not going to be a production level application. This is going to be my script that I hacked together, and this is something that you as a beginner need to learn. There's a huge difference between programming and software development, right? Programming is just like getting the computer to do what you want it to do. Software development, much harder thing to do. Okay, so when you're creating your own projects, try not to over-engineer and try not to have feature creep. because it's like, it's so fun to just like add features, add features, add features. At some point it becomes unmaintainable. Okay, so throw as many things out as you can. Okay, so over here, we're going to call the split function, which unfortunately is going to return us an array. But again, we don't care about any of these things. It's just a script. Split by comma. So now it's an array. I believe in Scala on an array, I can still just call map. Actually, we're going to do like a to list over here, right? Because like the input parsed is a list, right? It's a list of parsed row. We have this problem, but the way we worked around the delimiter was we set input the delimiter based on how the headers were separated. Yeah. There are many like workarounds. Like everybody does workarounds for CSVs. Like we could talk about this all day. But yeah, there are just so many issues with CSVs. It's crazy. Even though like it's specified how to do this, like if you export your CSV properly, 0 issues. Like 0, but it just never happens in production. And also like this is another thing, like is the header going to be there? Is the header not going to be there? You know, like nightmare. Anyway, split by commas, very, very simple. Now, if I were creating this CSV by hand, I would not have the quotes. But most likely we're going to do this in a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is going to export it somehow. Probably, like the hacky way to do this would be just to go and create a spreadsheet right now, and then just export in CSV and then see how it does this. So spreadsheet, LibreOffice, LibreSheet. How the hell is this thing called? Right, hold on. Can I do new? Oh yeah, there we go. New document. I usually don't like show this stuff because not because of like data, like not because of like security or whatever, just because I don't like it. There we go. Okay, so let's say that this is like description. What is happening? Description and description. It's super tiny. I have no idea how to. Okay, maybe like this. There you go. Perfect. So this is description, and this is going to be BRL, and this is going to be like Euro, and this is going to be USD. Okay, and let's say that we do like Spotify. Let's say I pay like $10, and let's say Netflix. Let's say I pay 15 euros, and then let's say YouTube 20. Right? These are not the values. We just like I just want to see what is going to happen when we're actually going to export this. Not as PDF. Export. Is it not export? Is it a save? Like, where is the CSV? Why would it be a JPEG? I guess save as. Let's see. Okay. CSV. There we go. Okay, automatic file name extension, save as password encrypt, edit filter settings. No, whatever. So this is going to be the result. Well, it's going to be like the input. We might as well actually grab it already. Input dot. Well, actually, let's. Okay, ask when not saving. Okay, use text CSV format. Oh, nice. See, like this is what I'm talking about. You know, like Excel does not ask you these questions, right? How awesome is this? Like, this is exactly what I meant. Like, no, like give me freaking UTF-8. Like, fucking hate Windows. I was saying about this, like I usually get crap for using Windows, but you guys need to understand, like I'm not just a programmer these days. I'm also a content creator. I literally have like 4 devices on my table right now that just don't have Linux drivers. Some of them have Mac drivers, but some of them don't even have Linux drivers. All right, so Unicode UTF-8, delimiter, comma, string delimiter. So this is the thing, like it would be easier for me to parse it if I, okay, so I have to do one anyway. Okay. As shown, quote all text cells. I think it's better. Actually, I want to see like once without it. Let me see without it. Like this is exactly what I meant, you know, like if you have full control over how the CSV is generated, no problems. There you go. Nice and easy. And if I had said, you know, with the quotes, right, it would have, yeah, input with quotes. What just happened? Did it like remember my settings? What just happened? Where was this dialogue that we saw before? With quotes, blah blah blah. Save. Yes. Where's the dialogue? What happened? Is it like, do I need to like search for it now? I was just saying awesome things about spreadsheets and now like about LibreOffice, and now I have to go into freaking settings and find this thing. Load save. General. Edit document properties before saving. Maybe this one? Let me see. How do I get it? You're right. You're right. Genius. You're right. Completely right. Okay. CSV. Stop asking me. Okay, so now I want to quote everything. Oh, okay, so this is like the checkbox that I just did. Okay, so I'm just gonna click OK, and I'm gonna go to is options and customize the same thing? Load and save general. So I did this one. Okay, I don't want to have this. All right, so now is this one, right? Why is it not quoted? Did I do it wrong again? Was it this one? It was this one. Okay, there we go. So now everything is in quotes. Okay, perfect. So we're not going to have anything weird. We're not going to have quotes. We're not going to have like our... Let's actually see what it does with the numbers. So this is still the... No, this is the CSV. This one. So what if this... Also, let's add more because like we might as well like use it for our calculations. Okay, so let's just say some like apartment. So let's say I want to have like a large number. So I want to say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 .789 whatever. Okay, and this is going to be I don't know, item. I'm not creative. Some insurance, right? Insurance. I never know whether to spell it with an E or with an I. And it's also going to be, I don't know. Let's do like let's have something with a 0. So 0.12345, and then I don't know, like car something, and let's do like just 0.456. You know, just do like, okay, so it does a 0. Okay, so and now let's save as. Okay, so this is gonna be like the CSV. Okay, final input, save, and I don't want to quote. I think my locale is USD, so it should. Yeah, so as you can see, there's the dot remained here. So so this is how I want to have it. Like, I don't need the quotes. All of my values are going to be like normal and stuff. So it's perfect. And we don't even need to like trim or anything. Yeah. So in fact, we're going to grab this this file. So I'm going to, let me just do this real quick just in case. So what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting it out and I'm putting it on my D partition. Hold on, cut it out. Why can I not? What the hell? Take this stupid file, cut it out, go here and paste it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to rename it to input, and now I'm going to disable that one, and now we're back. So now over here, like, I might as well, because we're gonna need it later anyway, we will create source main, new folder resources, and over here, I'm just going into dev calc resources, money calc, yeah, into this one, and I'm just gonna like move the file from here, which I called input, into dot. And I don't want to accidentally change it. So I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna go like this, right? So it's now it's read only. And if we look it up, there we go. Okay, this is how it looks like, nice and easy. Actually, let me see how Glow renders it. And what about cat? Yeah, maybe cat in the end is the best one. All right, so like this is a file that is now here, and by the way, I have some fancy. Is it this? I have some. Yeah, I have like a CSV extension. This can do like crazy things like this, you know, and stuff. Like, in fact, I should not be able to read it. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly why I did it, because like by habit you would just press Control S, you would mess it up. So discard. Okay, so this is my CSV. Cool. So we just split it, and then we did two lists. We don't care about performance. We don't care about the intermediate collections and all of that stuff. And now we know that we have 4 values. So we map again, and this is going to be case of a list. Well, actually we can do, I don't like this, you know, this pattern matching thing usually. So we can just go like description and raw BRL, not row, raw BRL, raw euros, raw USD, right? They're all alphabetically ordered, and we're going to convert them into input parsed of description, and then we're going to have a function that will, you know, basically do like 2 big integer, and we're going to like usually like all of these conversions in Scala, they're type safe, but we're going to like ignore that. So let's just call it parsed raw BRL, and then parsed raw EUR, and then parsed raw USD. like this. Okay, so now we just need a function called parsed. Parsed, it's gonna get the input. Well, it's gonna get like the raw amount, which is a string, and it will produce amount, which is a big decimal in our case. Okay, equals, and we're gonna do it later. Okay. Yeah, so this is the thing where we need to like hack a little bit because we don't care about nulls, right? So we basically say, okay, it's fine that it can be null. In Scala 3, you have like this NN thing that I thought it would jump into, but it didn't. And also, what the hell was this? Like I thought it would have told me this before. So this is now output dot row. Okay, parsed wants. Okay, parsed. No, it has to be a parsed row. Okay, so this is a parsed row. Yeah, we can. We will do it in a second. So this is a parsed row. Okay, found any. Okay, so why is this not a list of strings? Oh, because it's like it thinks that it's like a string or null, blah blah blah. So we will probably it's better to do here map, and then like we don't care, like this. Okay, so we need to do like dot and then here, and we don't need to do it here like this. Okay, like why is it still any? Hold on, like this is an array of string or null. What the hell? Okay, so it's either an array or null, and inside of the array we have either strings or nulls. So now over here, now we have an array of strings. Okay, and then here, what? Okay, so I guess we don't need this map, right? Like this. Okay, so now this is a list of what? So we do need it. Okay, so this is a list of strings. How is this not? Why is this any? Ah, because, oh, of course. Hold on. This is a list of string. Oh, we're doing one row over here, right? So we don't need a map. We need a match over here, right? So basically this is a pipe, right? This is a match. Okay, found list of parsed row required. Parsed row. Okay, so this is my bad. So this is called input parsed, right? Input parsed. It's a list of parsed rows. Okay, so like this. Okay, so match may not be exhausted because maybe it has blah blah blah. Exactly. This is fine, but we don't care. Like in this case, just blowing my face. Like blow up in my face. Exactly, good question. So Scala 3 has, which is currently optional, a feature to control nulls. Okay, so over here, see, it's called explicit nulls. Okay, so it's enabled in the options. So whenever you deal with Java APIs might return null. Okay, and so what we here is the Java API started with a split, right? Because like row input, this is a string, right? Java util string, and split returns an array, and also like split is a Java method. So split usually returns an array, but Scala 3 said, yeah, but it also could be null. Okay, so if we look at this, it says, okay, so it either returns an array ignore these things in these parens for now, right? It either returns some array or it returns a null, okay? And what can be inside of the array is itself going to be either a string or it can be a null. NN is a perfect example for a method for like these hacky kind of things, which basically says, okay, just like remove this null thingy from there, and if it is null, then just throw an exception. It's just a function in the Scala standard library. Don't ask me why, I cannot jump in there, but it basically does, you know, if null, throw null pointer exceptions. Otherwise, you know, it basically just fixes the type. Okay, so over here we're returning either an array of something or null. After this is just an array of something. Okay, so it's just like the print line here is weird. Okay, but over here, like after we do this map, so we did the array NN, and then everything inside array NN. And now in the end, we just have an array of strings, okay? And you asked before, if we don't do two lists, can we do a pattern match on array? Yes, we can, right? Array, okay? It just said I did like two lists because of this. In fact, I'm kind of curious how this compiles now because oh yeah, because we started with a list. So we don't even need this this tool listing. Okay, there we go. So any more questions? Are we good? Cool. So now we just need to parse the string into amount. So there's probably like big decimal from, oh, I think actually we can just do this. In fact, yeah, so this is like, again, like this is a Java API, I believe. No, this is a Scala math, big decimal. So what does it do? What does it do when we give it something weird? Probably throws an exception, okay? So if we do like big decimal of hello world, it blows up into our face with number format exception, okay? However, if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then it's all good, okay? So this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. Like usually, like this API would be frowned upon, like in the Scala world, because usually we would be, you know, we would want everything to be type safe. So we would want this thing to return an option. So we would do like a try catch here or something like this. But in this case, like I have full control of everything, and I would just waste time on doing like this validation and strong types and like unfolding over these options and do like getter else and all this stuff. This is exactly what I need. In fact, we're almost like done. Okay, so now we have a way to parse the input. Now we also need a way to produce the output. Okay, so this is going to be a function. By the way, we're doing Scala 3, and in Scala 3 you can have top level definitions, which is something that I said like 2 hours ago, but I wasn't streaming. I'm never going to get over this. Okay, parse input. Oh hey, how is life? So parse input. So transform, and this is going to be input, which is like input parsed into well, there's no such, well, no, there, so this is like the final output. So output, we should probably have, I don't want to call it parsed because it doesn't make, like, let's call it typed, okay, which is going to be a list of rows. Okay, and by the way, over here, yeah, okay, so list of rows. Okay, so now over here I can say output typed. Also, by the way, like even though it's hacky, it's like kind of like for beginners. So I would also like factor this out into a different method real quick. Do you recommend any book where we can learn these concepts? You have to be very specific when what you mean was like these concepts. So like I have a playlist called book reviews. Okay, so if you go to devinsidy.com, right, and you click on courses, and it's gonna like slide down over here. So there's a playlist with where did it go? Oh, here. Okay, so book reviews. This was from the time when I was doing the thumbnails myself. So the very first one is called Structure Interpretation of Computer Programs. So this book I consider the Bible of programming, and it's every programmer should read this book. However, you cannot start from this book because otherwise you're going to think that programming is super complicated. You need a couple of years of just like programming in any language, also any kind of experience. Like if you program something on your own, if you're studying, if you're doing bootcamp, doesn't matter. You need to be able, like, relatively comfortable with some kind of language so that when you read this book, you can relate to something, right? Like, this book explains everything there is to know about programming in such a fundamental way that it sort of feels like you're in a math class in high school where the teacher would explain something and you would be like, but I'm never going to use it, right? And so because of this, you need a little bit of experience that you have like some relation, okay? And so this book was written as an introductory course to programming at MIT in 1980 something by two professors there. It's a very, very famous book. And unfortunately, like, all the examples that they used is in the domain of math. And it kind of creates the stigma that you need to know math for programming. No, it's just that, that's what they do at MIT. Okay, I guess the def parse string amount will give us troubles later, as not all strings can be converted to amount. If I do this, it would be def parse. Exactly. So this is how you would do this in a production application. You would make sure that it is visible in the types, that there is a possibility that, that there is an error. Okay. If there are multiple errors, you might use something like an either, right? So either you have a list of errors, right? Or you get the amount. Okay. Usually with an either, the error type would be on the left. Okay. And there are like gazillions of like things even built into the standard library to do this for you. For example, I'll show you one that is not, it is not well known. So there's a Scala util, I believe it's called control. Okay. And in Scala util control, you have a bunch of like these helpers. Usually people don't use them. But like, for example, over here, you can say exception, right? And then you say dot, and then you have a way to do like an all catch. Maybe it's not exception that I'm looking for. Like an all catch. And then, by the way, like, look, there are already conversions for these things that do this for you for regular types. I don't think that there is a too big decimal or something like this. Okay, there is. So this is not the one that I wanted to find, actually. Maybe it's not exception. Maybe it's not in control. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, there's a helper that can do, maybe it is exception. All catch, maybe this one. Like maybe this, right? So it would do like an option, option amount, if you do like this, right? So like this is a helper that is built in that does exactly this for you, right? So it will catch all the exceptions, wrap it into an option, blah blah blah. But usually people don't use it. Like usually like you would just do like, probably like what people would do is like Scala util try, and then to option. Like you will see this one. Come on, option. Like you will see this one like more often. Like this is probably the one that people would use. Okay. But in this case, because it's a script, and this is exactly what I wanted to explain, like there's a huge difference between like hacking something together just for you, just to make it work, and like to program like in a system that will, in a code base that will like evolve over years, and everybody needs to reason about it, people need to be able to like refactor it and so on. Like over here, this is the opposite of what I want. I don't want to do like get or else. I don't want to fall. Like if it dies, It's because I messed something up. I'm going to fix it, and that's it. We're not going to need to maintain this like at all. And if we do, like, it's so tiny, you don't need functional programming here. You don't need strong types here. You don't need tests here. It's a different world, okay? Correct. And you're right. We should probably do like an empty check over here. You're completely right. This is something that I forgot. So this is also why, like, I wanted, like, the first step would be to like factor it out. So like I would have like parse input row, right? So I would give it like a row, and this would be like this thing, which is okay. Well, I guess it's just a string, right? So I will use the same name, right? Like this, and the result is to be well, this is a list of parsed row. Okay, so parsed row. Okay, the implementation is going to be like this, right? That input dot parsed row. Okay, and so now, like, over here I can just go and like change around like these things, and I can just say parse input row. Okay, so that is like a completely separate thing. Okay, and now you're completely right. I should check for empty stuff. So how are we going to do this? I think the most like visibly pleasing thing is going to be just to do this, right? So there are three cases. This one, this one, and this one, right? Okay, and so over here, it's gonna be like 0, 0, like this, and over here it's going to be 0 over here, 0 over here, and over here we're going to have 0 over here, 0 here. Okay, so we've fixed exactly what you just said, and thank you for catching it. Okay, in my original, like I originally created like the spreadsheet. I was actually started like to sum things up because I was like, it's so cool. We could actually just sum them up and it's gonna be fine. But then I was like, why are we doing this? Okay, so I'm never gonna have an expense that is partial, that like something that's like $10 and €2. Okay. By the way, an even hackier thing would have been to just go here, you know, like if row amount is empty, then 0. Maybe we should do this. Like, what do you think? I think it's better. It's less code, right? So if row amount is empty, 0, otherwise, like, do this thing. Yeah, in Scala 3, we need to do it then. Okay, and so now we can actually revert to what was here before. If I do this, parse string returns 0 if the string cannot be converted to an amount. No, it's just a special thing over here, right? So only if it's empty, it's going to be 0. Otherwise, it should die, right? So for a hello world, it will die. Otherwise, it's going to be 0. And we can test it, right? So over here, instead of this, we're going to be like parsed. It's fine. And if you have empty, it's going to be a 0. And if it's a hello world, then it's going to die, right? So like in a real application, you would actually write tests like this, but you know, because it's so tiny, we can just like try all of them out. And because of this, we can simplify this thing again, right? So this was like raw, euros, and this was raw USD, and so this is like parsed raw euros, and this is parsed raw USD, and now it's like much smaller, easier to read. Okay, we're still throwing things over here. There we go. All right, transform. So let me have a look at output typed, which is a bunch of rows. Okay, and there's a header row, and there's this row. Okay, so one of the other things that you need to learn is that you don't want to do everything at once. So like this is a function that will do like too many things at once, and it's totally fine. Like if you want to do this, you should hack first. Okay, so output typed is a list of rows, okay, which is actually incorrect, because it needs to be a header row and then the body row. Okay, so this needs to be, why can I not rename this? Whatever. Okay, body row. And I'm a big fan of like putting of nesting things, right? So I would really like to do this, right? Like, and then putting like these things aside, and now like now I don't, now I can just say like this is a header and this is the body. Okay, and so over here I would say like row.body. Okay, and here output row.body. Okay, so this is not correct, because like what I want to have is I want to have like a header and the body row. Okay, so basically it's going to be a tuple, and because it's a tuple, we might as well like go with a proper class, right? Final case class typed, it's going to be the header, which is header, and we could go with body. We could go like this, right? So this could be body, list of row body, like this, right? So this is like a row header, and this is a row body. No, this is not a row body. Like this is the body. Okay, and the body is a list of row body. Actually, like too many of them is also not good. So let's actually hard code it like this. Where's my keyboard? Like this. Okay. Yeah. So this is what we're returning. Okay. So let's just start right away, right? So this is going to be an output typed. The header is going to be the header is going to be hard coded, right? Because the header is, it just needs a description. In fact, the description itself is the word description. So essentially, this is an object. Okay. So we're going to go like this. This is an object header, and it has like a lazy val description, which is a string, and it's the word description. Okay, so like even like this thing is actually, in my opinion, is like already typed like too much. So we're going to remove this thing later. But like right now we're still like hacking. Okay. So like why, like we don't even need this thing now. Okay, so we can have like type body is just, it's just this. Okay. And so output let's just do this, output body, like this. So now we don't need to worry about the header. We're not gonna have the header, okay? Okay, so input parsed and returns output body. So output body is now just a list of, what happened to the music? It's just quiet? Yeah, it's just quiet. Okay, so output body is not a case class anymore, right? So it's just a list of rows. So like we can now do map, right? So if we do like input map, right? Then we can do like, we can take the value, we can convert it into other currencies, blah, 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 blah. But then in the end, we would also need to sum them up. So you have like two choices. One is like do everything at once. It's like a nesty fold or a while loop. And the other one is do like in a more functional way, even though fold is also functional, in a more functional way, like do it step by step, right? So like this output body is going to be the one without the final sum. I don't understand my own types. So what I was saying is that we can create these things now. But then in order to create the final one, we would need to fold. Okay, so let's do this first. So what I often do is I do like this, input row, and then like I do some stuff here, right? But then like in order to have the whole thing compile, I'm gonna say like whatever, like I'm gonna fix the return type later, because like the result of this is a list of nothing like right now, but I need to produce an output body, and right now I don't know how to produce it. Okay, so what do we have? We have the input row, which is a parsed row, and the parsed row is exactly this. Okay, and we have a function called rate, and we have convert. Okay, convert is what we need. Okay, so we're going to produce output row. Is not output row body? Output row. Where's my auto completion? What is going on? We're producing this thing. Okay. So the description is going to be, well, input row dot something like what is happening? Where's my auto completion? Okay. We're just going to take the input row and we're going to convert. Okay. And convert once from to an amount. Okay. So we're going to convert. This should probably be another function, but we're going to convert from currency.brl to currency.brl, right? It's the same thing. Input row dot, I hate this. Why? My input row is description BRL Euro USD. Okay. BRL. Okay. plus, and this is why I said like it should be a different function. We're going to like yank this whole, so over here for now I'm just going to do like zeros because I want like things to compile. Okay, so over here we're going to go like this. Paste it again, paste it again. There we go. Okay, so we're converting the Brazilian real from Brazilian real to Brazilian real. In fact, we don't even need to convert it. We can just call this thing, but the convert function is already going to do this for us anyway, so we might as well call it, because I think this is going to help us later once we're going to like factor it out. So let's leave it like, okay. So the second position is we're going to convert from, so remember we're calculating reals here, okay? So now we're going to convert from euros to real, right? And we're going to give it the euros. And now we're going to convert USD to real. We're going to give it a real, okay? So like this. So let's see what FT will do. Oh, it's a typo. You guys should have told me. This is why my entire auto completion is broken, because there was a typo over here. Okay, so I don't like how it formatted this stuff. No, what am I doing? Okay. Yeah, it can be like this. One of the things that you need to know in Scala 2, I think they might have backported it, but for a very long time in Scala 2, you could not have had like this plus over there. Like Scala 3 is like totally fine with both of them, but like it just figures it out. It has a much better semicolon inference. But it's still like, I still prefer to do it like this sometimes. One of the caveats of this, like sometimes you need to like really worry about, is that like if you forget one of those pluses, like in Scala 3 you might get a warning, but like very often, like if you forget this, remember the last expression is returned, so it will return only this. But like because we're like, hold on, let me see. Yeah, so this is like a perfect example. See, like except for this thing. So we forgot a plus over here and everything still compiles, right? So like to work around this, like what people started doing is like people started like putting into a list like this, and then having a comma over here, right? And then doing like some like sum, you know, and if you don't have a sum, you know, you can do like a reduce left, like this, because it depends like what you're summing up. And if you're worried about it being empty, then you could do well. Okay. Well, the tab should like align, so you would do this. Okay. So in fact, like this is the function that, like once we're going to like factor it out, like this is the function that will do this for us. Okay, so let's just do the same thing for the euros. So euro. Okay, so this means that we're converting the here, right? So the euro needs to be here, like this, and the dollars need to be here. And it's going to be USD here, here, here. Okay, so this is like all the like regular rows, and then we also need to go through this thing again and to calculate the sum. Okay, so this is going to be like buddy, like this. I was hoping exactly. There you go. And now we're going to have the final row let's call it total. Okay. And the total is going to be, by the way, oh, this is so annoying. Okay. So the total is going to be also like this thing, right? It's like a row. And so it has like description, BRL, Euro, USD. Okay. So description is going to be, well, it's going to be the total. Maybe let's select total like this. BRL is going to be 0 because it's a to do. Like for now, I just want this code to compile. Euro and USD. And we used to have question marks over here. Okay. So remember, like we're in a function that produces the output body, and the output body is just a bunch of row bodies, like a bunch of these case classes. So we're just going to append it. Because we're appending it, like again, this is a hacky script, so I don't care, but appending is happening at the end of the list. And so it's an immutable list, so the entire list would need to be reconstructed. So if this was a production application, not that I would super care, but like I just do these things automatically, I would convert this thing into a vector. Right, so the end result is going to be a vector because vector has an amortized of one append algorithmic complexity. But in this case, like again, we're just hacking, so nobody cares. So we're just gonna take the body plus total. And these days, I don't like these alphanumeric thingies. So I'm gonna jump in there and I'm gonna see, okay, it's called appended. Okay, so dot appended total. Okay, so body appended total. Okay, so now we just need to calculate these totals. Okay, and in order to do that, so anytime you need to accumulate something, you need either a loop, like a while loop, or a fold. And when you do a fold, you're going to recreate some structure all the time. So because we're hacking, we're actually going to, like, we usually would have like the minimal data structure that you would need to recreate, which would be like a tuple. In this case, now even in this case, like I feel so bad for hacking, hacking. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a tuple that we're going to deconstruct like this. Okay, so there's going to be like some code over here. This is going to be like our fold, and then so instead of doing like this and then like this and like that, so instead of doing this, we can just go like this, and now like this whole thing becomes one line. Okay, like this. Okay, so over here we're just taking the body, we're doing a reduce, well, we need to do a fold left, and we need to help the type system out by saying that there's going to be a big decimal, like it's going to be a tuple with like 3 big decimals in there. Big decimal, big decimal. Okay, so fold left is a curried function, so it has 2 parameter lists. Each parameter list has 1 parameter. The first parameter list, the parameter is the seed value, which is why we helped out with the type. So the type is going to be, this is going to be a tuple with 3 things, and the values are going to be 0, 0, 0. Okay, so this is a tuple with 0, 0, 0. Imagine like if you had a while loop, you would start with some initial value of 0, 0, 0. Had I not specified this type of, I would be forced to do some like big decimal of 0 over there. And I chose, like, it's a taste kind of thing to specify the type over there. Okay. The second parameter list also has only 1 parameter, and Scala has a syntactic rule that if a function has only 1 parameter inside of one of its parameter lists, instead of parens, you can use curly braces. Okay, and it's a very common thing to do. This is how you can create your own things that look like data structures. Okay, and over here, you would pattern match on the thing that you're accumulating and the current value. Like the current value comes from like traversing this body list, and the accumulation comes from whatever you're doing. So the type of the accumulation is this tuple, big decimal, big decimal, big decimal. And so usually you would take this tuple apart over here, right? So this is the sum of all the reals, this is the sum of all the euros, and this is the sum of all the USDs, okay? And now you're going to do something with them, and the resulting result of this function needs to be a tuple of BRL, Euro, and USD. List of the method sum, but it works for list of numeric only. I like to write a method add upper row body, upper row body, upper row body. You could do this, yes. Then I'm going to tell Scala that when we write list of object row body sum, Scala will use that method add. We're about to do sum. Is that possible? Yes, it is. It's a can of worms though. So so the numeric type class is like there's something more abstract than the numeric type class. And the proper way to do this, like what you need here is a monoid, right? A monoid is a structure that knows how does a zero looks like, which would be a tuple of 0, 0, 0, and how to take two of these tuples and combine them together, right? Usually it's an add operation, okay? Or at the very least, you would need a semi-group because we don't assume that the list can be empty, right? So the defaults are going to be 0, 0, 0 anyway. Okay, so in fact, like we could totally go and do like a reduce left over here because I don't care. Like, in fact, we should do this reduce left. Okay. No, we cannot do reduce left because in Scala reduce left is constrained to return exactly the same type. Okay, so we cannot do reduce left. Okay, so the numeric type class is not a perfect type class, but in your specific case, it would work exactly like you're saying. Maybe we will do this a little bit later. I don't remember exactly how to do this, but it should be very easy. But yes, you can. And the implementation of it would be exactly the same thing, which is why it's not worth it to do this, because it's only worth to do this if you're doing this all the time. But we're doing this once anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so all we need to do is we need to take whatever we already accumulated of the Brazilian real, and we need to add current dot Brazilian real. I don't know again why we're not getting help from the compiler, but whatever. The same thing with the euros, and the same thing with the USD. And that's it. Okay. So I suggest that we finish like writing the whole thing, and then once we see the result, we're going to replace it with what you just wanted, and then we'll see that the same thing comes out. Okay. So now we also need we need the function that converts like this whole thing into a bunch of strings, right? Because we want to output a bunch of strings. So it's going to be a function that will take like the output body and like print it out. So it's going to be I guess like rendered. And by the way, we should call like it's sort of a convention, like in it's not followed like perfectly, but see how like this name is in the past tense like part, but this one is not, and it's because I wasn't consistent with it. Like usually you would want to do like everything in past tense, but people are usually not very consistent with it. So this would be like parsed, and this would be like parsed, and like this would be this would, why can you not rename this? So this would be like converted, okay, so convert, change, go next, converted, all of these are right. Yeah, and so this one would be rendered. Okay, so the rendered gets how did we call this step? The rendered gets output body, it actually should also use a header. No. Output body, and the result is going to be a bunch of strings which we called what? So by the way, we didn't end up using this type. Output raw. Hold up. Raw. Okay, hold on. What to do? Add header. Let me see. Let me have a look. Honestly, my approach to using list sum with a type I don't want to be numeric would likely be an implicit. Is that a bad option? No, like this is exactly the option that I was talking about. So if you have a look at a library like cats, or even like specifically for these like mathematical things, there's a library that builds on top of cats, and I don't remember its name. I don't remember its name, but it does like all of these mathematical operations. But essentially in cats, we can do this later. Like I still have like 40 minutes or something of time, maybe even an hour, and we might be able to do this later. So if you use cats defines type classes for these things, right? So let me show this to you. So cats has a type class, for example, over here, right? It has a trait called semigroup, okay, for some value a, okay? And a semigroup just has a function called combine, where you give it like two a's, like a1, a2, and it gets back an a, okay? And in fact, like with Scala things, you can also do like extension, like a1, a, and it would be like this, right? So you can like use the object-oriented notation for this. Okay, and then you would have a semigroup. I'm sorry, you would have a monoid, right, which extends a semigroup. This is not the only encoded, but this is the most common encoding, okay? And then this one would add, I don't remember how they called it. I think they call it 0, right? Okay, and so I'm going to create an extension specifically for lists. So self is going to be a list of some sort of a, okay? And this extension would demand that this a has a monoid, okay? Just that like the syntax is actually over here, right? So it's going to be some sort of a that has a monoid, okay? Like this. And the function is going to be like, you know, proper sum. All right, proper, like it would be like, I think it would be called like combine all or something like this. Okay, and it would give you the a somehow. Okay, and how would it do this? Well, it would do a fold left, right? Because it's a list, right? And then because it has access to the monoid, right? In fact, maybe in this case, it's better to, I don't think, can we do this here? I think we can, right? So you would say like using m, which is going to be a monoid for this a. So we say, okay, well, this one is going to be the 0, right? And this one is going to be, which is also like, I'm not sure if this one is going to compile. Yeah, it's not going to compile because we did this weird thing. We should not have done this weird thing, right? Def combine. Okay, so now this fits. Okay, and so now if you have list of 1, 2, 3, 4, right, and you try to do like combine all, right, it will tell you, well, hold on, like this thing doesn't have yeah, Scala 3 is much more like it has some syntactical goodies, okay? So it says, okay, value combine all is not a member of list. An extension method was tried, but could not be fully constructed because it says like, hey, it was missing this monoid, right? It says like, there's no given instance for type monoid of int was found for parameter m for method combine all, okay? Now, if you actually go over here and you say, well, I'm going to define a monoid for integers, and in our case, the type would not be integers, it would be a tuple of these three things, big decimal, big decimal, big decimal, right? So if you do this, and you would say with, and now you define, you would define combine, and you would define 0, right? Like this. It's just that now you know what this type is, whoops, right? So now I say, well, I know that this is an int because now I know that I can do a 0 over here, and I know that it is an int over here. Therefore, I know that I can do a1 plus a2, okay? And now they're combined. And also there are multiple monoids, right? So you could also do 1 over here and times over here, and now you have multiplication, right? So this is like the cleanest way to do this, except for the fact that, like, ideally, if you want it to be like everything completely by the book with type classes, you should want to have only one instance, right? But like this is a perfect example for monoids. You can actually have two of them. So it's like the fact that it's like implicitly like being summoned, you kind of never know which one is being summoned, okay? Yeah, okay, so monoid is just a name, comes from Greek, but in this case, it's just a name for a trait, okay? And by the way, the name comes from, so mono means one, ID means ish. So monoid means like one-ish, okay? So it's basically one, right? Because if you look at all the functions that it has, it either returns an A or it returns an A, right? So if you already have one thing, you're just gonna get it. If you have two things, we're gonna make one out of those two things, right? So it's basically one. This is what monoid stands for. It comes from Greek, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's just a type class, right? And you can have instances for different types, okay? So for example, over here, we have an instance for ints, and now we're going to have an instance for this tuple of big decimals, right? So we're gonna go like big decimal, big decimal, big decimal. And so like all of these types here are going to be big. Well, this is a 0, right? So it's going to be like, well, I can just yank inside here and pick over here and also like yank around this thing, go like this. Let's have a type. Okay, type alias, type our tuple. Okay, because otherwise we're not going to be able to read this thing, okay? So this is going to be our tuple without the D. Okay, our tuple. Our tuple, very often do like this extra D. And over here, our tuple. And over here, our tuple. Okay, so the 0 is going to be like 0, 0, 0. The types are known, okay? And the sum is going to be, well, A1, like well, it's going to be a little bit ugly, but basically A2. Now we're going to have A1, 2 plus A2, 2, and A3, 1. I did it wrong again. 1, 2, 2, 2. A1, 1 plus A2. Okay, did I do it correctly? Hold on. There's a better way to see this is by doing that. Okay. It's our tuple. Okay, so on the left we always have like the thing from the left one, on the right from the right one, okay? And so now that we have this, like we could like put a bunch of our tuples over here, right? So for example, let's take like 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. And now we can do a combine all if I had not forgotten this stupid comma over here. Like this. It doesn't compile because it doesn't know that these are big decimals, okay? So this is a tuple of our tuple because it's inferred as integers, okay? So now we can combine all of them. And so now we combine the tuple, right? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it just said like the identity function, like, it's the identity element. It's not the identity function, right? Because the identity function is a function that you call and it just gives you whatever you call it was without modifying it. Okay, it's the identity element. Okay, and so the Scala standard library does not have these very abstract types like semigroup and monoid. However, it has this numeric type class, which is like very narrow. It's very specific to like these mathematical things, right? Because like you could define a monoid, like a typical example would be for strings, right? So now you can have a monoid for strings. And by the way, like for a monoid, to be a proper monoid, there need to be some laws that are that hold. Yeah, so this would actually compile because this is how you concatenate strings, right? Is it also called concat or something? Yeah, whatever. Okay. So now if you have, we're going to print line. So now you have a list of hello, and you have a list of space. I'm sorry, not, what am I doing? No. So you have a list of hello, and you have a list of, you know, an empty string and world, you know, and if you do like combine all, they will all be collapsed into one string because there's a given instance that explains how to do this, okay? So, like in the Scala standard library, there's a trait that is similar to the monoid, but it's just called numeric, and you can implement it. Just like, I think it's a little bit harder to implement because it's just like a little bit weird, a little bit more specific, like these more abstract things that are more clean and stuff. Okay. Anyhow, nice detour. Let's go back, and this is exactly why I left this to, so that I don't forget what we're doing. So I want this function to have like all the body rows. The last row was the sum of everything, and the first row to be the header. Okay. So I will take like this one, and I will say over here, while header, and the header is going to be a description. And over here, I'm just going to say currency.brl.toString. Same thing, close that. And this is going to be USD, and this is going to be euros, like this. Found string required amount. Oh, this is why I couldn't do it. I couldn't edit here. Hi, welcome. No, I haven't, because I'm not a data engineer. I'm like a classic backend developer. My girlfriend just came back. I need to close the door real quick. Hold up. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So, any more questions about this thing? Because I kind of want to finish it because I need to go. I have like 3 o'clock, and I would need to go like around 4. All right. So we're gonna create this header because this thing is like way too typed. Okay. So we're just gonna like cut it out, and it's going to be it's pretty much gonna be here, right? So it's just going to be a string. So like output raw is just a bunch of strings, right? So like this thing is just going to be, so the header is going to be just a string like this, where we're gonna say like description. I believe like there's a function called like pad too, because we want to do this later. Okay, so for now, just gonna do description, and then we're gonna do like BRL, EUR, USD, something like this, right? Okay. So this is the header, and we don't even need to interpolate it. Okay, like this. This is the header. All the other rows, which is going to be body string. Right, so this is going to be like header string, right? So like header string, body string, and then at the end of the day, we're going to do like header string plus, body string, and that's it. Okay. So the body string is going to be body. We're going to do a map. And then we're going to do a make string, and we're going to, like, the make string needs like the separator, so it's just going to be like this. Okay. By the way, we should probably have, where should we do this? Should we do it here? Should we do there? Let's do it here, right? So it's going to be like this, right? Header string, blah, body string, that's it. Okay, so this is our map. So this is our row. And let's also do this and do that. Remember, it's just one function. Okay, so now we're going to construct the string. And it's going to be row.description. This, do I have completion? Yeah, I do. Cool. Row description, and then row.brl. Big decimals are rendered just like normally, right? Okay. And row.eur. And row.usd, and that's it. Okay. Found string required output row. Oh, okay. So output raw is like a list of strings. Yeah, whatever. We can do it like this. So instead of this, it's going to be like a list of the header string and no, it's like this, like that. In fact, because it's a list, we can also do this, but I actually don't like either of them. So how is this one called? Prepended. Yeah. I really started avoiding symbolic operators. Right? Like this. Okay, so the final result is going to be, you know, make string. Cool. So now we just need to assemble the whole thing together. Like this. Okay. So in the beginning, we're not going to read the file. We're just going to say that, like, let's say that we have some input, which is a list of strings, right? In fact, we can actually grab our, you know, the stuff from our file. I forgot the type again. It was input raw. Was this? Yeah, which is a list of strings, which is going to be a list of, and we can open. Wait, hold on. I said close others. Input CSV. So we're just gonna grab this, put it over here. Okay, so now we're gonna go, oops, like this. Oh no. Okay, so we're gonna go like this. And then we're gonna go like that. Okay, and now we're gonna go like that. Okay, so this is our input. And so now the result is going to be by the way, and this is where this is the perfect example. Like if you're still here, this is where we can use the pipe, right? Import Scala util chaining. Okay, so we're taking the input, we're piping it into, I believe, parsed. Parsed input, right? Okay, so let's look at the types. So this is a of parsed row. Wait, hold on. Maybe this is the wrong one. Parsed. We'll give it a row, it comes out as parsed. Okay, so we already have a bug. Oh, hey, welcome, Andrew. So where is it? 87. 87. It's probably the only pattern match that we have is here. So it's probably here, right? By the way, we should also always trim things. Like we have control over our stuff, but we should always like trim things. And trim is also something that comes from the standard library, so we need to do like and then again. Okay, so it says 87 match error, but there's no match on 87, so it's probably an 86. Okay, so this is a weird syntax for arrays. Okay, so maybe we cannot match on arrays like this. So let me just do like to list for now, real quick. Yeah, this is fine, and this is fine. Oh yeah, we didn't move that thing. Like that thing needs to be here now. Okay, so now we have like a beta toString. So we say, okay, so we had like Netflix, comma, some value, and then comma. Where's the other comma? What happened to this comma? Also, why is this comma there? Okay, so we have an issue with like trailing commas, right? So for example, for something like YouTube where we have like 2 commas at the end, right? So if this was like the only row that we had over here. Interesting. So it's only like with this row. What? Hold on. So it's fine with description. It's fine with Spotify. It only doesn't like Netflix? What is so special about Netflix? Okay, so if we yank around this and we go over here and we say split by comma, okay, and we want to do a print line, which is an array, so like a print line of an array is horrible. Wait, what? Okay, we need to make a little bit here like this. Okay, split and do to list. Oh my god, come on. Okay, so this is the problem, right? So it would parse it like this. Netflix, empty. $15. And what about this one? And why only this one? Like YouTube also has like trailing stuff. Like how would it do like this one? Okay, so we have an issue with like trailing things. I wonder if split has some parameters. Oh, it's a regex. Regexes are not my strong suit. I am pretty sure that this is something that we can easily Google. Because there are many ways how we can work around this, but I'm sure that there's a proper solution. Split by comma, trailing spaces, yeah, something like this. Python, whatever. No, this is a spaces thing. Split by comma, what, like lost values? Read, so this also feels like Python, right? Okay, maybe we should do like Java. Remove the empty values, blah, blah, blah. What in the actual, what? Okay, so he wants like by these ones, but like these ones he doesn't want to get lost. Okay, so there's some like -1 thing. What is this -1? No, it has nothing to do with NN. No. Like, what is this -1? Like, so there's another overload with a -1 where you can do like this, right? And now the values are there. Well, what is this -1? Like, this is exactly what I felt like. I was like, for sure, there's a proper solution for this. Okay, so there's a limit. Okay, actually, maybe like we can have a rendered version of this here. So splits the string around meshes of the given regular expression. The array returned by this method contains each substring of the string that is terminated by another substring. Matches the given expression or is terminated by the end of string. The substring there in the order of which they occur in string until it doesn't match any part of the whether there's an array just has any of the string. Where there's a positive width match at the beginning of the string, then an empty leading substring is included at the beginning of the result array. 0 width match, blah, blah. Limit parameter controls the number of times the pattern is applied and therefore affects the lengths of the resulting array. If the limit is positive, then the pattern will be applied at most 1 times. Okay, 0 as many times as possible. And the array can have any length. Okay, and any trailing empty strings. So by default it's 0, probably, right? Cool, so problem solved. Yeah. All right, problem solved. So we can go back to this, right? Comma, blah, blah, blah. Okay, return, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now it should, why is it not failing? It should have, oh, I removed too much. I wanted this thing. Okay, so now it's failing, and now we need to go find our split and do limit equals -1. Oh, this is a Java thing, so I cannot use name parameters. Okay, it's still failing. Found you. Okay, so this is now a different thing. This is because it's not indented properly. Like this. Okay, there we go. All right. So just because we have like these pipes, right? We can also do like a tap over here. Okay, and a tap over here. Okay, and so now we see. Okay, so maybe we should do like another tap where we just do like an empty print line, right? Okay, so we're giving it like a list of these, and now we're getting like a list of these, right? And in fact, like over here, it would be better to do like for each print line. Okay, so now that it's parsed, like this is what we're getting out. Exactly, like me too, dude. Me too. By the way, I'm saying, dude, like Ava, you probably girl. I'm sorry. All right. So, what is the next stage, right? So it's probably like transform, right? Transformed. Remember, we renamed all of them. Okay, so this is now also like tap print line. Okay, so this is also a list. So instead of this, we're gonna do that. Okay, so now as you can see, like it transformed this into like all of these things. Transformed was the one that like does like all of the currencies and stuff. Like look at these like representations, right? So this is something that we would need to fix at the end. Okay. And this is also the reason why we use the big decimal, because we want like, we're dealing with money here. So we want like precision, we want like all the cents and stuff. Okay, so after transform, what are we doing? We're doing, what else do we have? Transformed, and then what? Do we go to rendered? Yeah, we pretty much go to rendered. Okay. Pipe into rendered, and we're gonna grab like one of the print lines. Okay, let's also have like an empty thing over here. Also an empty thing over here. Okay, so now we kind of see like steps. Okay, we started like with this list. which we, by the way, should also do like this one, right? So we started like with this list of strings, which that were like rows. Now we parsed them. Then we did the currency calculation, which might actually be incorrect. Like I'm seeing a 0 over here, and there's a 10 over here. So maybe we have a bug or something. But we will fix this later. And then we have another. Okay, and then we have a list. No. So the last one is also like, we're only dealing with lists. So the last one should be like this. Okay. Okay. So now we converted like each element like into a string, right? So we have like our header, and we have like all of these ones. And now at the very end, we're also going to pipe into, like, this is the last like rendered step. So into just make string like this. Okay. And this is the final result, right? So the final result is like one string, right? Okay, and in the end, we can either like, just print out the result, and print line result. Let's also like print it out in like green or something. Like this. Okay, so this is our result. And we should probably do, I don't know, print line like empty thing like that. All right, so this is our result. Like, as you can see, like something, first of all, like the rendering is weird. So we need to figure out how to render big decimals, which is something that I don't remember how to do. So Java big decimal format, how to print formatted big decimal, blah, blah, blah. What? So like, is it a formatting issue, or is it a rounding issue? Here, like, this is what I want. Like, what would this thing do? Oh, like this would even like give me the symbol. I don't want that. Yeah, I'm not sure if like, I don't want to do rounding yet. I just wanted to like print it out like normally first. Like, I don't want like I don't want this notation. Like here, for example, there's like nothing to round, right? It's just like I just wanted to like format it like nicely. Like here we have like, so I don't want rounding yet. Like probably like we don't have a bug. It's just that this is like 0 point something, and it just like looks so weird. Okay. No, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's a rounding issue, because like this is a precise value. It's just that the way it's printed out is not correct. Like, I'm like, for now, I'm fine with this looking like this. After this, we will decide like if you want to round it or not. Okay. So like this is what I want. So I want like this decimal format thing, which has some weird thing. Okay. So let's play around with it first. Okay. Okay, so this is like Java next stuff. Okay. Okay, so look how we can do this. Nice. Yeah, so something like this. So let's do like, what was it, like f.format or something, right? It was like this, right? Like f.format, yeah. Okay. Format, and now I would give it like a big decimal of, I don't know, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, comma 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, something like this. Okay, and let's print it out. Print line, that thing. Okay, so it looks like this. Yeah, I actually like this. Yeah, I actually like this. Okay, So usually whenever you do these things, there are like regexes or some weird like things that like generate an entire grammar. And so usually you want to like store them in some thingy so that you don't have to like recreate this format. Okay. So I'm just gonna go and I'm going to, again, we're not like super concerned about performance here, but still, let's put it like somewhere close to this one. Okay, so it's just gonna be like a lazy val over here. Okay, and it's here, right? So it's gonna be like format dot format and like that thing, and over here format dot format that thing, and format dot format that thing. Like I'm sort of like running out of time, so I'm not going to like what's it called? So I'm not going to like create like a tiny method from each of them. Okay, so this looks better, but there's still something weird with Spotify. So we're starting with $10. Now $10 in Brazilian real would be 50, right? Like, how did this thing happen? So either there is a copy paste. So we're here, we're going from real to real, from euro to real, from dollar to real, from not to euro, from this to euro, from USD to euro, from this to USD. Everything is correct. Let's look at the rates. So is it maybe like this equality thing that like fails? Okay, so for example, when it wants to convert like $10 to $10, it's going to multiply with 1. If it wants to convert from $10 to real, no, it should multiply by 5. This is wrong, okay? So this is the multiplication here. Hold on. Same thing over here. Yes and no. So it reinvents it a little bit, but it also tries to do like some things slightly differently. I don't know if they succeeded because it's like very like, I believe it's very targeted towards Scala 3. I haven't taken a look at it because remember how we did like monoid like extend the semigroup? There's some issue with this, like that has something to do with the implicit resolution, and like there's another way to do this. I believe in Prelude they're trying to do this with like union types or like intersection types. So you would say like I need a monoid and I need a semigroup, and if you don't want to specify all of them, you can just create a type alias. I believe they wanted to do something like this. Out of the context, is there an application composition structure that you would recommend, like cake pattern or a constructor based? When can these patterns be useful and when not? I have more than 10 years of experience. I highly recommend to stick to constructors. The major reason of this, well, there are many reasons. First of all, like you really want to see which instance is being picked, because when you're trying to understand something, you want your ID to be able to jump into it. So once you find the dependency injection point, if it's just constructors, you can just like go to definition and then you can see what the implementation is. To me, it's very valuable. But also you can just like at the usage side where you have something abstract, you could also say, okay, well, find all of the implementations and you can find it this way. But occasionally you would have like 20 implementations and then you don't know which one of them is being injected. So it's very valuable to me to see exactly what is being injected And the easiest way to see this, if you just stick to constructors. You can mix it with the reader monad. So like what I would probably do, like if I were to write like my own application, so I would probably do like 95% constructors. But the things that like every use case, like literally every use case needs, something like logging, something like tracing, basically like just like these two things, those I might inject like with a reader monad, or like at this point, like maybe even with an implicit, because it doesn't really matter, because like everybody kind of like on the team will know, okay, like just for logging, we don't care, you know, because like literally every use case needs this. So you don't need to like inject this. Okay. So let me look at like all of these conversion rates, because like something is super weird. Like assuming that we fixed these two, the issue should already be fixed, right? So for example, like $10 is like 50 Brazilian real. 10 euros is 60 Brazilian real. By the way, today they're almost the same, but it's not the point. And otherwise it's just one. Okay, so how did it happen that we ended up with a bunch of zeros? So maybe we should fix like all the others, and then it's going to be fixed. So over here, like this is where we would need to like do like big decimal of 1 divided by 6. This one is correct. So $1 would be like 90 cents. This one is divided by 5, right? So it's going to be like this, and this one is going to be euro to USD, which is going to be something like this. Still, okay, so how did this happen that we have like zeros here? Like, how can something be so wrong that we have zeros there? And like, why is something like Netflix totally fine? Is it because Spotify is like the first one? Let me see. Okay, so first of all, let's like comment like all of these out so that we only have Spotify. So when we're going from parsed row to the body, something is messed up. Like this is a euro. So, okay, so we have like first step, second, so from second step to the third step, right? So this is the second step, third step. So in transformed, and we do a sum over here. Yeah, but it was, yeah, maybe, but it was parsed correctly here, see? See, like it was like $10. But then somehow like it ended up here. So when we go from real to, okay, so it's this case, right? From going to 0 and blah, blah, blah. So I will take the amount times rate from 2. It's all good. Don't feel bad. It's really not a problem. Like, especially until I do this full time. Don't feel bad. Like, you're doing more than most people. You know, like I have like almost 10,000 subscribers. You know, like if everybody would give me $1, I could do this full time. So don't feel bad. Like it's all good. What did I want to do this? What did I want to do? Converted looks right. The rate. also looks right. Is it maybe like there's something wrong with this thing? No, hold on. Where are we generating this body? Here. So somehow, like, how can we not have like USD to real times 5? Like it should do like times 5, right? Right, it should take 10 times 5. USD to real is 5. I really don't get it. So let me hack something. So let me remove these two. How do we end up like here? Oh, actually, I'm looking at the wrong one. It should be like here, right? From USD to USD is 1. How about this one? What the hell? I'm starting to think that maybe Scala was right somehow. Like maybe like what I did there in this pattern match, like that thing, because like I have this warning that I'm ignoring, right? But it should be like one, right? Like it's like if it's the same one, then it should be the same, right? So okay, let's do this. So how is this not the same thing? Okay, so like this, and which should be here. And dollar should be here. Okay, it is the same thing, so it didn't fix the issue. It has to be here somehow. No, here's fine. There's a space. Why is there a space? Especially because we're trimming over here. Like, why would there be a space? Oh no, it's correct. This is how it's rendered, right? It's always like comma space. Welcome, Rafael. No, this is correct. Okay, and so over here, I would want to do tab result. This is so silly. Okay, so this whole thing is fine. This is also why we're seeing the parsed row. Everything is fine. Yeah, something is wrong with the converted implementation, but I don't see what. It's here. See? This needs to be RL, right? Oh, no, hold on. It's here, right? We're going from real to real, euro to, okay, it's here. It's a copy paste. Okay. Euro, USD, and euro, USD. There we go. Problem solved. Perfect timing. Okay, so now that we have like all of them, there we go. Okay. Okay, so this is almost like the final result. Like we would add some there's like pad or something, right? Pad to, I don't remember like on which side it pads. Like this. No. Hold on. Pad with spaces to string. No. Make string. Jesus. Okay. Okay, so it pads on the right. Okay, like this. Okay. So let's do like a tiny tiny like helper over here, like some, like any comes in, string comes out, and it does like in pad to, I don't know, let's do like 15, and pad was like empties, and then like make string like this. Okay, and we're just gonna do like to string over here. Okay. Okay. So here we're just gonna like pipe into the helper, and over here as well, pipe into the helper. Like it's getting kind of ugly, but again, like we're like hacking here, and pipe into the helper. Okay, so it looks kind of better, except for the fact that we need to do the same thing with the header. So it's like S here, dollar here, description, pipe into helper. Okay, so we need to do this. Why is it not part of the string? Dollar here, like that. Okay, so the helper needs to be a little bit higher. Okay. And now over here, like we might as well do like currency.brl dot pipe into helper. And now we can ink this one and just like paste it twice and like fix the rest. It's getting so ugly. Okay, so it's better. Now we can use the Unicode drawing characters. I think this is exactly the one that I need. Yeah. Come on. Like pasting one character with Vim, I always like mess it up. All right. almost done. There we go. Okay. Header titles to be updated to appropriate currency names. Correct. Thank you. Euro and USD. All right. So now we would also do prepended with like that thing. That's for people who can spell. And this is like the thing that we don't have because of the types. Like the last thing of the body is the total. So body without total is body string. By the way, it's called body string, but it's actually not body string. To do rename. Okay, so it's body string drop right 1, and this is just total, which is there like last or something? Yeah, there's last. Okay, so this is like body without total, and we also need to do let's do like here appended total. Exactly. And before this, we're going to do that thing. Paste it wrong. Okay. So there's a better way to render this, but for now it's fine. It's just like this thing reads like super ugly. So like this is where like the symbolic operators would actually be nice. Okay. Just curious, how are you going to feed the data to this application from the file? Oh yeah, totally forgot about that. Let me just do this one thing real quick. Okay, so we want the header string hyphens body without total yeah, whatever. And now hyphens and total. This reads like a little bit nicer because you can kind of see like them like in a row, you know. Font string required. Oh yeah, because I messed it up over here. Okay. Right, and so maybe like this would be even better. Actually, I tried it once and I mixed them successfully. Yeah, so see, like sometimes you can mix them as well. Okay, so now you can see, okay, header string, hyphens, the body, and then hyphens and then total. Okay, so this is exactly what you see here. So like usually I don't like symbolic operators, but yeah. Okay, so how we get it from file is, okay, so input from file, which is going to be like input.raw, is there's like a built-in like Scala IO source, I believe. Yeah, source from file. Now the location of the file is, this is always like freaking pain in the ass. And get class loader. I forgot how to do this. Hold on. Class loader. Oh man, I forgot. Scala read file from resources. Yeah, so they won't, because this is just a hacky thing, so we don't care. Okay, so there's source from resource. Perfect. Okay, so I can just go from resource. From resource, and it's called like input.csv. Resource, not resources. Okay. Cool. So now this is like there's like a get lines, and what is it, raw? It's like a list of strings. Okay, so we're just gonna do like to list. Okay, so now we're just gonna go over here and we're gonna go input like from file, and let's see if it works, and it does. Okay, so yeah, so like this is like a JVM thing. Look at this, perfect, 4 o'clock. This is a JVM thing. So if you put the file into like resources, like where you're developing, you can just do like this. So like when SBT like compiles this whole thing, and then in the over here in main, no, hold on. Okay, so in the target folder, in probably like in Scala 313, in classes, see, like it puts the file in there. Okay, so basically like when your jar is being deployed, like this file is being thrown in there as well, right? So it's being copied from resources over there, and so that's how. Okay, just get the file, like get lines, convert it to list, done. So yeah, this is it. I'm sure that we're gonna do something like this some other time as well. I wanted to stop streaming for a while because it takes a lot of time. Maybe we will do like a version 2 of this, which is going to be shorter, where we're actually gonna like grab the rates from some API, currency API. Let's also put like free. Blah blah blah. What? It's completely free? Sign up free. Like there has to be some limitations, right? How is it free? Completely free? Nice. No, we're never gonna use like a proper logging thing. Like this is just a script. Like this is what I said. Like I know it's a very long stream, so some of you were not here like from the beginning, but like this is something that you need to learn when you're a beginner. You need to clearly distinguish like what you're building, like the scale of what you're building. Is this just a script where you have full control of the entire input? And if there's like an error, you know, like for example, like if I give it like an empty CSV, right? I want it to explode, like whatever. It's like a 100 lines of code. I want to like, it's going to be something that I messed up either in the code or in the input, and I have control over both. So there is no need to invest like into strong types, into tests, into nothing, right? So like, this thing works, right? Like I can probably like even like 3 years from now, I can still use it. Or maybe I will like add one currency, right? And then I will break like backwards compatibility, which means like my old files will not be readable anymore until I add another column. But like all of this is manageable because I have control over everything, okay? So in production, like this is not how you do this in production, right? Like in production, you have like, you know, your clients will upload some CSV and it would always be some sort of garbage, right? You need to clearly distinguish what it is you're building, because otherwise there will be like feature creep, you're going to over engineer things, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I should probably, let's go and up this. So I'm going to, because like maybe you want to like have a look at this code, this ugly code, by the way. Like it's just like, oh, everything like hacked together in one thing. Like the rates are wrong, but you know, you get the point. Is our main fine? Yeah, it's fine. Okay. I think I actually have an alias. So if I remove git, I think I can do GHI. GHGI. I think it's this one. Looks correct. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now it's all on GitHub. So you can have a look. I'm gonna paste the link over here. Okay. Not sure why, like on my end, like dev inside is marked as red. I don't know. In any case, guys, I really need to go. So, okay, here everything's fine. Everything's fine here. Let me just like start closing things. Cool. So now I have this tiny thing that I can actually use. And by the way, this is like another thing. When you're learning like programming and everything, often you will get an advice like to build something to like a to-do app and stuff. And I have often recommended this, but like it's so much nicer to build something that you can actually use, right? Even if it's something super simple, like what we just did. It is so much nicer. So figure out, like, there's probably something that you can use, and probably you don't know how to do this, but like Google, you know, Google and you'll find it. Ask questions. I have a Discord and everything. If you go to like devinsider.com, I have like if you just click on connect, I have like a bunch of these things over here. You know, Discord. There's a GitHub. I'm even on a library, like on this Odyssey thing. Like I haven't checked it out in like a very long time. Apparently I have some followers there. Maybe even some views. Nice. Yeah, got a Patreon, obviously. Telegram group, Twitter, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. All of my courses for now are free. I don't know if I will ever create paid courses. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, because on one hand, like education should be free. On the other hand, I should kind of like eat somehow. So yeah. In any case, I really need to go. So I see you next time. I don't know the next time I'm going to stream. One day I will start streaming consistently, but today is not the day. Okay. All right. I love you. Peace.